G'day guys, and welcome back to the weekly VEMA Trader Bitcoin market scheme. My name is Rhys, and in today's video I'm going to be running you through my thoughts on Bitcoin. So what we'll do is we're going to take a look at the trades that we set up last week, and we'll see how those played out. And then we're going to take a look at the chart as it stands today. I'll show you what I'm thinking. If there's any trades that I like the look of, I will set those trades up, and I will run you guys through why I'm setting those trades up. So what we'll do is we'll head to VEMA Trader, and we'll get started. Righto, so the first trade that we set up last week was a close below the break of demand on Bitcoin. So I still like the look of this trade, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it because what I expected to happen didn't happen. You know, we did wick down into it, we didn't get the close below, and now I don't want to have this trade waiting and get into a trade, you know, sometime in the future when it closes below again, or if it closes below again, when I don't want to take this trade anymore. So I am going to delete this setup. We're going to take a look at the other trade we set up last week. Righto, so now we come to the other trade that we set up last week, which ended up being a loss. So this trade got wicked out by about 0.07% before price continued in the direction that we wanted it to go. Key takeaway here is wicked out, right? That is now possibly 2 weeks in a row, if not 2 weeks in a row, certainly like 2 out of 3, 2 out of 4, where I have been just slightly wicked out before price has continued in the direction that I thought it was going to go. So, key takeaway, wicked out, right? Tag that. I'm starting to see that consistently happening now, so I may start changing my stop losses. That, in terms of this trade alone, is kind of the only takeaway for me, right? You know, but this is going to be a bit of a almost journal in some sense, because there's another thing that I wanted to show you guys. I actually set this trade up on my own account before I set this trade up on the video last week. So while I was waiting for the daily close, I sat there and, you know, set up my trades for the week on my trading account. Then after the daily close, I came and filmed that video for the YouTube channel. I thought I had set up the exact same trade. Why would I set up two different trades? I was just looking at the same thing. Short from supply, stop loss here, take profit there, cool. They were not the same trade. One of those trades lost, which we are looking at right now. The other trade won, right? Different stop loss, different take profit, different result. Same entry, exact same reasons for entry, slight differences in stop loss, massive difference in take profit, led to a completely different result. And what this made me realize is that my old nemesis in trading, which is wanting to be right, is affecting me in these videos. So the next couple of minutes might be completely useless for everyone who watches this, because it may only be for me, right? What I'm talking about might only apply to me. Hopefully it is somewhat useful to some of you. What I'm going to talk about is psychology. So what this made me realize, right, the difference between these two trades is that the fact that I am publicly filming myself and stating this is what I think is going to happen is affecting my decision making in these trades, right? Without me even realizing it. I had no idea that I had used a different stop loss and a different take profit. It is affecting the trades that I'm setting up. It is affecting what I'm seeing essentially in the market, right? This is how important psychology is. If I can give you like one key thing to take away from whatever I'm saying and going to say in the next minute or two, is psychology is the most important thing in trading, bar none. It's not even close. So you might not publicly come out and state your opinions the way that I do, right? These lessons hopefully will still apply to you. So what can I actually learn from last week? What can I actually do to improve, not even necessarily my trading? As we saw, my trading's still going all right, but you know, for some of you guys, this is a perfect analogy for what's happening in your own trading. You know, somewhere, somehow, your psychology can be affecting your trading. Because even after 3 years of being a professional trader, you can see that it's affecting mine. So, one, you're not alone, right? If psychology is an issue for you, you're absolutely not alone. Psychology is an issue for, I would say, all traders, even successful ones, right? It's not something that I think is ever done. It's something that you might go through good and bad periods. You can always be improving on it. So hopefully that helps alone. But then, you know, how do you actually work on your psychology? So for me, my go-to is go and read Trading in the Zone, because I can point to that as a moment when I first read that book was the first time I actually understood. I'd heard so many of my mentors say psychology is the most important thing in trading. I'd heard that so many times, and I thought, yeah, right, if I can draw the same lines you can draw, I can make the same money you make. Well, I've kind of just proven that wrong in this last week, right? Because I drew the same lines. It was me that drew both sets of lines, two completely different outcomes, because two different psychologies, even in the one person, right? Pretty, I sort of only just realised that, but pretty cool. So psychology is by far the most important thing. Anyway, so when I first read Trading in the Zone, it was the first time I really understood how important psychology was. And I could see the shift in my trading from before and after, right? It was a massive leap forward in my profitability once I read that book, and a massive leap forward in my approach to trading, because I'd been looking for that new indicator, that new tool, that different way of trading, just that one little thing that was going to make me profitable. And that's one of the things, it's a specific example he talks about in the book, right? Beginner traders that are looking for one little thing to become profitable, not realizing the fact that it's actually their psychology that's holding them back. It was reading that book that made me realize that, and it made a huge difference to my psychology. So I actually started reading Trading in the Zone again this morning, because I was just sort of looking at my bookshelf and I wanted something to read, and I was like, well, actually, seeing as last week I realized that this was going on, the fact that my psychology is different when I record these videos compared to when I set up my own trades. I was like, it's probably worth me reading that book again. And, you know, full disclosure, in my own trading, I haven't been doing that well lately either. So never a bad time to read that book, but a great time when you are not doing that well in the markets. Other takeaways for this, right? Probably less applicable to you guys, but I could see a clear difference in the risk to reward I was targeting. If we look at, I think I set this up on the object tree. If we look at the trade that I set up last week, it was a 1.92 to 1. If we look at the trade that I actually set up on the video last week, I was shooting for like a 4.3 to 1. In fact, probably actually more, right? 5 to 1. When I record these videos, I want to be hitting like 10 to 1. If I can hit a 20 to 1 trade on these videos, like I would be posting that everywhere. I'd be bragging, you know, till the cows came home about that. That is obviously affecting my psychology, right? Hitting a 2 to 1 trade is very doable, but I feel like it's not enough in these videos to hit 2 to 1 trades, which is so dumb. I'm not saying that anyone has ever said to me, hey, man, why are you targeting 2 to 1s? That's pathetic. Hit a 5 to 1, right? But obviously, subconsciously, there's some part of me that is like, 2 to 1's not enough. 2 to 1 is not enough for these videos. You know, I should be hitting 5 to 1s. I should be hitting 10 to 1s. You might have that going on in your own trading, right? I certainly used to target 10 to 1s. I certainly do still target 10 to 1s at times. But I am also okay with 2 to 1s. And this is pretty clear evidence of that. That was not a take profit that I moved up. That was where I set the take profit when I set this trade up. So that could be something that is affecting you in your own trading. I think I'm going to wrap it up there, because this is about the 8th take I've done of this, and they keep just getting into me like rambling about things where I'm like, there's probably no use for any of you to see this stuff. I think, I just hope that, by watching this, one, I hope it helps me. I'm a big fan of journaling or talking about issues you have, because a lot of the time when I do that, I realise what the problem was. Now, luckily I realised what the problem was just when I saw those 2 trades last week, but this has still helped me in a few ways to sort of go, oh, that makes sense, that's why I'm doing that thing, or, whatever it is. And even if it hasn't, publicly stating that, these videos are affecting my trading in these videos, hopefully helps you guys realize that, things that affect your psychology in trading are okay. They happen to everybody. So yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll go and set the trades up for this week. Thanks very much for, putting up with me rambling for a few minutes. And yeah, I'll see you guys when we're looking at Bitcoin as it stands today. Righto, so if you did watch that last section, thanks for putting up with me. Hopefully you did get something out of it. If you didn't, smart move, right? Wise move, skip me rambling about stuff. So, taking a look at Bitcoin on the weekly, I do think now that we are heading to this sort of 30k level, right? We are at the 23.6 of the entire fib, 23.6 fib of the entire weekly move down, sorry. So we may reject here, but looking at it, you know, based on what I'm seeing, I'm like, nah, I think we're going to 30. I think we're probably heading up here, and then we'll see what happens from there. So 30 is a level that interests me because it is weekly supply zone, right? Just a pause zone, but there is a supply zone there. There is the 38.2 fib of the weekly move down, and there is also an EQ at about 32,000, let's call that, a weekly EQ. So there's, you know, some pretty key levels around there. It's definitely a level that I'm interested to see what Bitcoin does when it gets there. But the reason that I think price is heading there is there's kind of no reason in here for price to stop, right? When price came up there the last time, it shot through. When price came down the last time, it shot through. Really rapid moves. Now, it has been quite a slow, I was going to say clawback, but that's kind of a financial term that would make sense in this context, but I'll try and only use it for the key specific thing that it actually is. But it has been a slow recovery, is the word I'm looking for, compared to the moves through. You know, so that kind of, as I say every week, you know, the market does not look at all bullish to me. Even though it's heading up currently, it seems to be quite a weak market. So, long story short, on the weekly, I am looking for price to head to about 30k. On the daily, we are currently seeing a breakout of the ascending wedge. So, this is a really good example of, even though an ascending wedge is a bearish pattern, especially in a bear market, that is not a guarantee that it will break out to the downside in a bearish manner. So this also could be a fake out, right? It's really only breaking out on the current candle, which has been open for 3 hours. So, you know, by the time this daily candle closes in 21 hours, things might look different, but we can only go off what we're seeing right now. What that is over the last week, price has broken this EQ. Now, this is a really solid EQ. It was where we got held up way back in December of 2020. So it's a really strong level, and you can see it was acting as resistance, you know, in the last couple of weeks. We've now broken above that, and we're now confirming that move. So that is a good sign for Bitcoin. Right, so down here on the 4 hour, there is a few things that I am seeing. So I have changed the drawing of the descending wedge just to sort of match the 4 hour candles. The top line I've used candle close. The bottom line you can see is more of a line of best fit, right? It's nowhere near that close, but if I was to use the candle closes on the bottom trend line on the 4 hour, it gives me a trend line that looks like that. It only has 2 touches, right? So it doesn't have this, which doesn't mean it's not valid, but when I look at this, I go, okay, both those trend lines are valid, in my opinion. If price is to get to the second trend line, so when I say the second, I mean this lower one, it has to cross this upper one first. Having both on there makes my chart messy. I don't like it. So I can always delete it, because when price, or if price is to cross that first trend line, this one here, then I can draw the other one back in if I need it. So that's what I have done with the descending wedge. Right now, Bitcoin is at an absolutely crucial level. It is the 50 fib of the daily move down. It is the 23.6 move of that weekly move down, as we showed before. It is the top of the descending wedge. It is a 4 hour EQ. This is a really key level. If we can break this, close, you know, retest, there's a good chance that we are heading up somewhere around here. You know, that sort of 28,000 to 30,000 level. There is a 61.8 in there of the daily move down. I would be surprised to see that hold price, right? Fibs alone, I do use them to trade purely fibs, nothing but fibs. But on a move like this, I wouldn't really be expecting the 61.8 to lead to a strong rejection. You know, it wouldn't surprise me to see price sort of consolidate there, but I wouldn't be expecting to see something like that necessarily. So targets the upside would sort of be, you know, this 4 hour EQ at about 27,600, then 28 and 29,500 kind of levels. Will I actually take along here? I don't think so. Certainly not based on what I'm seeing as it stands today. I'm not going to be taking longs. Part of the reason for that is that there is quite a lot of resistance here, or was quite a lot of resistance here. which means that there is a good chance that there was a lot of shorts put on here that could have stop losses through here. Short stop losses are buy orders, right? A short is a sell, so to close a short, you need to buy the asset back. What that means is if you are a big market maker with a ton of Bitcoin that you want to offload, a good way to do that is to push price up above this level, because it gets people keen on longs, right? People start seeing exactly what I was just talking about, so they are keen to buy. Stop losses on these shorts get triggered, which are buy orders. What that means is there is a heap of buy liquidity up there for you to drive price into, for you to get your sells on. What it also means is you are getting a better price for your Bitcoin, right? If you load up your shorts down here, you're getting 22,000 per Bitcoin. If you can get price up here and get all that extra buy liquidity, you're getting 25,000. You are making an extra 10, 15% on those Bitcoins. So, for that reason, even though I do think there's a good chance of that break and retest, I'm not that keen on a long, because it could just be a fake out, hit these stops, pick up that liquidity, and then see price come down. In terms of shorts, I'm really not interested in shorts unless we break 22,600. You know, there is these two levels, the 4-hour EQ, the daily EQ. There is this bottom of the wedge. But if we were to break those levels, I wouldn't be that keen to short just to down here, because I'm probably not going to have a good risk reward. Now, that may change based on what happens during the week. I may decide to go long, I may decide to go short, but as it stands today, which is all I can make my decision based off, there is no trades for me for this week. Alright, so hopefully you guys got something out of this video. I know a big chunk of it was me rambling about my own psychology, so that may not have been that useful to you, but I hope it was in some way, shape or form, right? Even though what I'm talking about is my psychology, you know, when I'm recording these videos, and that may not apply to all of you, the same issue may be affecting your trading of wanting to be right. And if not, at least hopefully that gives you some insight of how I go about dealing with issues in psychology in my trading. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Hopefully you're having a great day. Happy trading, and I will talk to you very soon.